Awesome. Welcome to our Team Fight to Finish call, guys. I'm super stoked. I'm also a little sweaty. I always get nervous. You would think I, at 3.5 years into this business, would be fine on team calls. But I know I sound like Jamie. It's very useful. I feel like that's an insult to her this week because I actually lost my voice on the cruise. Jamie is my older sister. If you're new and don't really understand that, Jamie is the leader of Team Fight to Finish. I'm her little sister, Sammy. And I've been coaching actively for 3.5 years, but I was a glorified discount coach for a year before that. And tonight's topic is something that I feel like has been a huge impactful part of my whole business. And I wouldn't say I'm the most organized person in the world, but what I did realize, and I would love to hear in this chat, guys, if you feel like you are working around the clock for Beachbody and your Success Club numbers don't show it. That was me. That's a lot of my coaches. It was really difficult for me when I was in school full-time, trying to build a business, trying to figure out what I was doing, what I was not doing. And so it was something that I really had to kind of figure out as I went. I kind of prepared a little slideshow presentation, but I'm going to be running through some stuff and I'm not going to stop. So please make sure you write down your questions as we go. And I just basically put into this graphic what I have done in the past 3.5 years that I felt like were most impactful, because what I did then is very different than what I do now, and I failed forward through it all. But I do feel like one of the biggest things that I've watched my coaches do is they are working and working and working, but they're not seeing success, and they get burned out. And I've been there, especially when I was working as a part-time dental assistant and a full-time master's student writing a thesis. Never would I do that again, but I got through it somehow, hitting Success Club every month, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about how. So hopefully you are here to take some notes, ready to learn, ready to grow together. I'm going to make this smaller here, and hopefully you can see my screen. Oh, I don't want to share. Hold on. Beep, beep, present. So, organization within coaching, a topic that I feel very, very, very passionately about. And when I first started coaching, like I said, I was a part-time dental assistant, full-time grad student. And I wanted to work this business like I was a full-time coach. And I get there's this stigma. Did I press record yet? I just want to make sure I'm doing that because this would be a really bad thing. Yep, okay. Just back to it. I had a freaking panic moment for a second. All right. So I wanted to work this business like I was a full-time coach, and I wasn't a full-time coach, but I pretended I was. And there's the stigma of act like the coach you want to be. And so when I heard that, I thought that meant that I was going to work like a 15-star diamond coach would. And there's a big difference of working as that, whereas the time of it is very, very different. I wanted to spend every waking second working on Beachbody, and what I needed to do was be very diligent with my time because I had a full-time relationship alongside all the other stuff going on. And Adam was very understanding, but I will be lying if I say we haven't had a fight about Beachbody and the amount of time I spent on it, or the amount of time that I would be with him spreading myself thin on my phone, not really paying attention. And the amount of times he's had to repeat a story is not something I'm proud about. So that was my first problem. So then I went through this whole cycle of being like, okay, so I can't work 20 hours a day on Beachbody. All right, so what I'm going to do is, since I have exams, I'm going to work very diligently for 4 days a week, and we're going to try that system. And those 4 days that I have a little bit more time besides my exams, I'm going to work for 2 hours, and then the other 3 days I'm not going to work at all. Okay, I'll tell you that is going to work for 1 week. You can't look at this business and act like it's lift 4. It doesn't work that way. You can't just pick up where you left off. The cool thing about it is that it is flexible to do it once in a while, but you can't spend 4 days a week diligently doing this business and skip the other 3 and do that consistently. It doesn't work that way. So you really need to find that healthy balance. And hopefully I'll teach you some stuff tonight on how I did that. My biggest takeaway from this whole experience is I can't expect to have a powerful business when I'm teaching this and treating this like a freaking hobby. And so I went back and forth with this, that I am going to act like this freaking $1 million coach. And then I went through and I was like, you know what, that's not working. I'm just going to do it as, as it fits into my schedule. And I cannot tell you, both of those tactics don't freaking work. They don't work. Every top coach on this team will tell you it doesn't work as much as we would say we would like it to. So what I did, and I'm going to skip around a lot during this webinar because I have ADD. So when I was making it, it just seemed like it flowed. And then when I read it back, it didn't. But second thing is I feel like all of these things are equally important. And I don't think there's a step-by-step instructions for this. So just bear with me here. There were 2 trackers that I've made in the last year or so that I felt like were really impactful. And I got to give credit to my girl, Kate Schultes, for helping me with the bottom one, and my girl, Alex Police, for helping me with the one on the left. What I realized was that I was watching a lot of my coaches and myself working around the clock. And I kept going on these Zoom calls. Everyone posts their Zoom links, and I kept consistently seeing the same girls on these power hours. But I was looking at their Success Club numbers saying, something's not clicking. They're showing up, they want it, they're doing the work, but they're just not being rewarded for it. So what can I do as a leader to help them do that? And I watched Jamie and Steve do the Legendary Leadership. If you guys have never been in it, what they do is obviously they put trainings and stuff in there as well. But the big idea behind it was that people checked in with a tracker every single day. They checked in with the tracker and they checked in with their PD. And so I was like, okay, what did I do to hit diamond? When I go back and I looked at the group that helped me hit diamond, I read The Slight Edge, which if you've never read is actually a really amazing book. But Jamie had me track. And it is the most eye-opening thing. And I know this is not groundbreaking for you guys, but what I realized is that I was doing so much work and it wasn't balanced work. When I would power hour, when I would power pocket, I prioritized what worked for me in my business because that was what was easy. I liked learning. So I was going to prioritize all the team calls. I was going to listen to the team calls. I was going to do all the things. And what I didn't want to do was start all these conversations. So what did I not do? Start all the conversations. And then I would get into Saturday, panic because my tracker was empty, and I do 100 conversations on Saturday. And then Sunday came around and 50 DMs were in my inbox, and it took me all week to respond back to those. And I didn't do it again. And then I would do 100 more. And it was this like hamster wheel that I could never catch up on. And so Jamie and Steve's Legendary Leadership Group, I started to regroup my team, and I said the same thing Carly always says to you. Why am I not doing what my upline is doing if it's working? And so I took on 2 groups. I just finished another one about a month ago, so I didn't add those into the statistic. But out of the 11 girls that I took in my 2 Legendary Leadership groups, 7 of them have hit diamond, and 1 of them is hitting diamond on Thursday. So 8 out of 11 people were not doing, and if they're on this call, I would love for you guys to say what tracking has helped you, because it's not groundbreaking. It was no secret sauce. I did not go in there and be like, you guys, all right, I'm gonna really tell you what I do to hit Success Club. I wish there was a freaking secret sauce because I would spoon feed it on a platter to you. The secret sauce is tracking, guys. It's doing the things consistently every single day, and we get into habits of doing it and doing it and doing it, and a roadblock comes and no's come and life happens and you have this and you get a kidney stone surgery. Yep. Been there, done that, and life is going to happen. And you know what? You just have to keep showing up. And so I got my girls to track, and I tagged them every day they didn't check in. Every day. Do you think it got annoying to them? Sure did. It sure did. Do you think it got annoying to me? Sure did. But that was the difference maker. They needed to 10 times their power hour, not 10 times the time. And so I created with Alex this interactive power hour because we sat down and we're like, what do people need? They need a checklist. A lot of people just need to check a box that they know they did something. And that's what our coaches were lacking. And I'm not going to say this power hour is going to get you to diamond and beyond, but it's going to help. Because you're going to be able to time yourself, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, about what you are and not doing. And the biggest thing that I feel passionate about in this power hour tracker that every person wants to change the time on is creating a post. I wrote 2 to 3 minutes max, and I can't tell you how many times I've been with my coaches, and 5 10 minutes pass and they're still writing this caption. I've been there for sure. But another thing is, you open your phone, this happened to me the other day. I opened it, I wanted to post. Then Adam and I got into a conversation, and then my sister called me, and then I think something else happened. I had to go take Pongo, and I went back to Instagram, and this post still never happened. Over an hour went by, and I never posted. I needed timers because when I was in grad school, I didn't have time to do all that stuff. I had to get it done because I had deadlines. And if you knew anything about my thesis experience, my thesis professor was not the nicest human in the world. I didn't have a choice. I had to get it done, and I had to get it done today. So I created these power hours with the help of those two coaches. But these were things that, not these two because these are brand new, but I followed trackers to get me through busy times in my schedule so that I could focus. Next thing is, so another thing what I did was I set out a Sunday schedule. So maybe your week is different than mine. Obviously, I was on school time, and that was, Monday through Friday. But I took 20 minutes out of my Sunday schedule. Yes, 20 minutes, not 4 hours, 20 minutes, and I did a brain dump. Wrote down any task that I needed to do for that week. It could be anything in or out of Beachbody, but get it on paper so that you can start prioritizing it. You need to do these things because otherwise things are going to pop up and you're going to get overwhelmed. I, in that 20 minutes, would create a good thought out post. Maybe it was a call to action. Maybe it was something about my thesis that was emotional. Maybe it was something about me and Adam, something of value that my followers needed so that I knew that the start of this week was going to create some type of value that people are going to come back to my page. I would also create a rough sketch of the week. So maybe you need to look at any groups that are coming up. Maybe you need to be writing down the certain number of team calls that you have. Maybe you need to be doing, if you have a coaching preview on Saturday, maybe you need to, recruit to it Tuesday and Wednesday, like a rough sketch. I don't need a detailed outline, but stuff that I can get on paper that, again, it goes on that checklist. But the most important thing, I think, in my whole power hour was in that 20 minutes, when will my power hour be each day? So I would go to my school schedule. Okay, this was an exam day. I'm going to do it after my exam. Okay, this was when I was going to work. I'm going to do it before work. If I didn't write down when my power hour was going to be, do you know what happens? I'm sure every person on this call knows. It doesn't always happen, or life happens. I knew that if it was on a schedule and I could share that with Adam and I could share that with my family, that was what was going to happen. Honestly, when I went to a new leader conference, Melanie Mitchell blew my mind, and I'm going to talk about her in a second. She talked about how she shared her calendar with her whole family. And I thought that was so smart because now we're on the same page, and your significant other isn't going to say, well, hopefully they allow you to have 1 hour a day with Beachbody. Maybe it's 30 minutes. I don't know. But at that point, that's your time. And they know it. They know not to call you. They know not to text you. That is your time. So I wrote down when my power hour will be each day, and make note of any groups, obviously, they're going. And if you don't have any groups, guys, this is the time to realize, oh, I have nothing going this week. I can create a free group. Oh, I have nothing going this group. I can do a coach preview this weekend. Have something on the calendar, because otherwise you're going to be just floating by the seat of your pants, hoping that next weekend works for your coaching preview. I will also create a Monday to-do list. So on that 20 minutes, I prioritized all of the things that I needed to do. So I took that brain dump and I kind of numbered them 1 through, we'll say 50, whatever got on my list. And number 1 was always, always, always reach outs, invites. Because if anything in my Monday schedule, if shit hit the fan, if my teacher gave me an assignment that needed to be due that day, I was going to at least, on the very least, get my reach outs and invites done. That wasn't the thing I wanted to do. I can tell you that. But that was the thing that I needed most in my business in order to move forward. You cannot create time as you go. Unfortunately, this business doesn't work that way. You wish you could, but if you're not planning, you're not building a business. And I am the tough love person. I swear, everyone thinks of me. I don't even think I'm that tough love. But guys, come on. How can you build a business if you're not planning? And I wasn't. So in hindsight, I wish I could have, slapped myself on the wrist. But I learned, and that's why I'm teaching you. micromanaging to becoming my business comes first. This was what I was talking about with Melanie Mitro. So she showed us her calendar. She shared it with her family. And what in every day in her calendar, which if you guys don't know her, if you're brand new, Melanie Mitro was number one in the company, I think 4 years in a row. So homegirl knows her shit. So in her calendar, every day her business came first. And when I was building to Diamond, I didn't do this. I remember having a conversation with Jamie, and I think we were at one of the events, and someone said, you need to be working 80% on your business, 20 on hers. And I looked at her and I said, I'm definitely 50-50. Because it's hard when you only have a couple business builders, you grasp onto them like they're your little children. I get it. I've done it. It's really hard not to, especially if you only have 2 business builders. It's really hard to stop micromanaging. But at the end of the day, guys, when you are on a time crunch and you are trying to organize your business, I don't understand the disconnect of like my business comes first. I don't think it really benefits your business if 3 of your coaches hit Success Club and you don't, because they're looking up to you. And if your business implodes, they don't have a leader anymore. So every day my to-do list was X amount of things, but every single day it was my business. So on my to-do list, those reach outs and invites were my business. And then, we'll say 3 through 10, all those things were my business every single day. And then the rest of them were training my coaches and so on and so forth, because you're the example maker. And if you only have 20 minutes a day to work on Beachbody and you're spending it on your coaches, how are you going to get more of them? How are you going to build a social media following? How are you going to set an example if you're not an example? So every day I would start with my business. And then she also had us write down minute per minute of your day. The moment you wake up, and in 10-minute intervals in your day, what a typical day looked like. Obviously, being a student, my day was very busy from day to day, but I did it anyway. And it was crazy to me every 10-minute interval that I wasn't doing something. It wasn't, 50 of them in a day, but there were probably 8 to 10-minute intervals that I didn't have anything. It was me driving to school, and then there's 20 minutes between that and when class started. I had 20 minutes in between class. And when I was thinking of building a business, I thought, what's 20 minutes? Well, when I started being very diligent, you can get a lot of shit done in 20 minutes if you're smart. So I went down that to-do list, and the next thing that was available, I would do it, or I would do as much of it was. Maybe it was watching a team training, and I only could get through 20 out of 30 minutes. Great. The next 10 minutes of that was going to go on my next little white space block. And so you will be shocked at how much time you do have. So every night I added to my to-do list based on priority. And like I said, every day started with reach outs and invites every day. And then based on priority, because, I love the Power Hour tracker that I showed you, and I think it's great, but there's also a point in your business where you'll start to realize that things are going to change here versus there. So at Emerald to Diamond, Diamond to 1 star, and you have to make sure that you are prioritizing what you need based on where your business is. And so I would kind of change up my to-do list each day, but again, starting with reach outs and invites. We didn't have the Miracle Morning back then. We didn't have like the Zoom chat, but I would wake up, I would do a little bit of coaching work. Most of mine worked at my lunch break, and I would try to get done with patient charts ahead of time. And then I would rush home and hope that our patients were gone. That was how I built a business, because I got home and a lot of my night had to deal with school. So if more than one of your coaches or another coaches ask you about a question, whether it is a 30-second answer or a 10-minute answer, create a video when you can. And maybe that needs to go on your to-do list one day, because what I realized was that I was repeating myself over and over and over and over with certain things. Maybe it was Instagram. Maybe it was, what is Team Cycle Bonus? What is Emerald? I needed to create a video or find a video, and I needed to have simple, quick access to it. So I saved it in a notes section in my phone so that when my coaches asked, I could send it. Sometimes I created a shortcut in my phone. You can create shortcuts where you just type Emerald Coach Video and it sends them the link. If you don't know how to do that, Google. But in my little Power Hour or whatever, just, this would be something like I would do 10 invites. I would do 15 reach outs. I would follow 20 people. Some days it was an email blast. Sometimes it was posting something valuable in my challenge group, team page, blah, 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 blah. Then client and coach tasks. Maybe it was checking in with a couple coaches that were pushing to a rank. Maybe it was posting a video for my coaches. Because when I was in micromanaging mode, first thing I would do in the morning was get up and be like, I'm going to give some inspiration to my coaches about getting stuff done. Whereas I wasn't getting anything done yet. I was just inspiring them to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's great, but your business comes first. All right, next thing is working smarter, not harder. We talk about this phrase all the time. What the heck does it mean? Let's talk about that. So Google Streak, it's a scary thing. It's a really scary thing, guys. I'm just going to talk about one specific little part that I think is going to make your life so much better. If you Google Streak mail merge, this is going to impact your life. You have to turn on Google Streak, and what you can do is you can click all of your clients. Like, for example, in my December clients, everyone has an email of who enrolled, okay? So I click it, and I send them an email blast. And that way I send all of the same email to all these people, and it's not a group message. And you can actually prioritize if you want to get fancy with their names and stuff. But this has been such a game changer for me, guys, because I would go through and I would message all of my clients like, hey, Shelly, just checking in. How's week 1? Hey, Stacy, how's week 1? You're crushing it. Why not just go send out the email, let them respond, and now I'm going to be a little bit more personalized because you got to work smarter, not harder. Don't spread yourself so thin. If you're spending yourself doing the same thing over and over, that's been your problem. And I don't want that to be like harsh, but that was my problem. I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over, and I could have been spending that time doing other things. And so I ran groups with other coaches, whether they were free groups, coaching previews, challenge groups. I made sure that I was able to work smarter so that I delegated some stuff to other people. Maybe you want to run them with your coaches. Maybe you want to run them with other coaches. I did all of the above. Even now, being full-time coach, I run my coach mentorships with other coaches. Not just because I want to train my coaches in different ways, but simply because we all have time. And we all have so much of that time. And instead of me doing all of the work here, I could be spending it doing other things. We spend so much time complaining, wondering, just talking about all the negatives in Beachbody. And in my head, I made this switch of saying, why not spend the time debating it and wondering it and being angry about it and go work and make something of it so that I can learn from the situation and keep moving forward. And yeah, I still have those days where I'm down and out, but I have less and less of them because I'm so focused on what could be rather than what's not. And so the next thing I do is I will crash the Facebook newsfeed. Just Google, you see the pattern, that's just a lot of Google stuff. But Google Kill Newsfeed extension, and you can add it to your Chrome account, and you can crash the Facebook newsfeed because, hello, if you've ever been on Facebook and all of a sudden you're on your cousin's dog's beautiful Instagram, and you're like, how did I even get on Instagram on Facebook? That happens. It happens really, really fast, guys. But when you're crunched for time or you're trying to be very diligent, you need to have zero distractions. It's really, really easy to see your best friend from childhood get engaged and you're like, how did they propose? Oh, let me zoom in on that ring. Oh, it's so beautiful. How, it's like all of a sudden you're 15 minutes deep into it and you learned everything about their engagement, but that could have been 15 minutes about building your business. Instead, it's not to say you can't do that, but reward yourself for getting through your to-do list and then do those things. Another thing is I'm not going to go through it right this very second because it's going to throw me off, but fbdown.net, Chelsea Pearson actually showed me this. It is amazing. And what you can do with fbdown.net, it's another extension in your Chrome browser. But if you're in a group and someone goes live and it's an amazing video, you can download the video and upload it to your page. It is life-changing and it is so amazing. And obviously you want to be smart about which videos you choose. Like you would never want, like if it was an exclusive call for that group, you would never want to do that. But if I see somebody go live and I share on one of my pages, I have a diamond every week go live about something just for like 5 minutes. And so my coaches can download those videos and put them in their pages because why not? We need to share more. Another thing that I started doing to kind of make myself not be spread so thin is I was doing one-on-ones all the time. I was doing one-on-ones till I was blue in the face. And being a student, I only had, we'll say, an hour a night to do anything on Beachbody. And so if I spent 45 minutes doing one-on-ones, I have 15 minutes to do my business. That's not going to work. So open chats, I do it 1 hour a week. I change up the hour so that my coaches can jump on. Maybe it's Sunday, maybe it's Tuesday, maybe it's Tuesday an hour earlier so that no one can use the excuse that they were at work. People jump on if they want. They ask you questions. That's their time to chat with you. And, if they want it, they will make it a priority. And if not, then you have your answer. But my coaches that can't make a certain time slot, they just tell me, hey, Sammy, can you host an open chat sometime soon on Wednesday? Sure, I would love to. So that I know they're at least meeting me halfway rather than me chasing people down saying like, when do you want to do a call? Okay, they're 5 minutes late. Okay. Like, don't do that because you're getting into micromanaging mode. Your people who want it will do it. Timer, interval timers, guys. This goes back to that power hour tracker. Interval timers are amazing because otherwise you're going to spend so much time on one topic. If you do 15 reach outs and it takes you that whole hour, there's a couple reasons for that. If you're being super diligent with like being, paragraphs and sweet things, that's great. But personally, I don't think you need an hour to do 15 reach outs. I would say approximately a minute a reach out to have it be genuine. And, you might need to take 1 hour this week just to find where you want to find these people. Maybe you need to find a blogger. Maybe you need to find a brand. I don't know. But when you find that, you should be quickly able to go through and just scroll and be like, this person, no. This person, yes. Okay, quick message, boom. And move forward with that. But the interval gets you to go to the next task rather than you spending the whole time doing something. Schedule posts when necessary. There's a reason the schedule button was created. Guys, use it. Use it, use it, use it. This is what I did when I had a really heavy exam week. I scheduled out certain posts throughout the week during my Sunday power hour so that I at least knew I was going to show up at least once for my coaches 2 or 3 times a week. And then those days I was able to be a little bit even more present in my own business because I only had so much time. Another thing that I did was I started messaging other coaches that were on my level that had a downline, and we're on each other's pages. I'm in Amy's, I'm in Sam's, I'm in Taylor's, I'm in my coaches. I mean, the list goes on. I'm in probably more coach. I think Morgan Elliott, I might be in her pages too. All the people that inspire me, I'm in their pages because why not? Why not learn and repost what they're doing because they're doing things that inspire you? And so if you're not doing that, do it. I don't care if you have 2 people on your team page. Find someone else who has 2 people. And when they post something inspiring in theirs, boom, repost that because it's quick, it's smart, and it's effective. You don't need to do this business alone. You guys, I'm just going to drop a friggin' mic here. You are part of the number 12 team in the entire network. Entire network. Use the trainings that other people have created and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so if anything, guys, if there's one thing I can teach you, get a friggin' planner. Don't be old Sammy. Get a planner, one that inspires you, and just stick to it. I don't care if it's name brand. I don't care if it is from Walmart. I don't care what it looks like. Do something that you can hold on to every day. Because before I had a planner, I had stuff everywhere, and it has just been such a game changer. Obviously in the lower right, you can see all like my crazy planner, obviously from this year, but it works for me. That's what matters. I have pages of random things that if you looked at it, you'd be like, what the hell does this even mean? I know exactly what it means. It's not pretty, but it works, and it keeps me organized. It helps me with my planning and my to-do list every day. Eliminate what's not serving you weekly. If you are posting beautiful graphics and you are spending 30 minutes a graphic on it, drop it. Let it go. My strength is not designing. I paid somebody to create my new coach guide. You don't have to pay somebody, but find somebody who's good at what you're not so that you guys can kind of swap strengths. I paid somebody on Etsy to create my new coach guide because I pulled it up about 6 months ago and I started making one on Canva. And it wasn't even that it didn't look good. It's that it was stressing me out, and I was already 30 minutes in, and I said, you know what? I could go sell 3 challenge packs, and I could get over this, and it will be something that I will let somebody who's better at this do for me, and I will do something else for somebody else. Just figure out what your strengths are, and don't spend so much time on the things that you aren't good at. Just find someone who is, that you can kind of help each other. And one of my coaches, Sammy Hamilton, she uses a whiteboard, guys. And it's so smart because she'll have it and she can cross off her bubbles as she goes. So maybe it's Success Club. Maybe it's her team cycle bonus goal. Maybe it's how many coaches she's adding. If you are somebody that uses a visual thing and you need something bigger, get a whiteboard. They're not expensive. And, it freaking works for her because it's a constant reminder of where she is and where she's going. Next thing, where to power pocket, because this, I think a lot of people just kind of forget. And, they're like, well, I still am really busy, Sammy. Okay, well, these are the things that me and I asked Alex, Sammy, and my sister where we all power pocket. And it was actually pretty funny because we all said, when my significant other drives, I power hour. I work. Whether that drive is 5 minutes or that drive is 3 hours, Adam always drives. And it might be partly because I'm not that great of a driver, but it also is because I want to work. And if that 5 minutes was a difference maker, think of if they did 5-minute drives throughout the week, that's 35 extra minutes you weren't doing working on your business. That's a lot, okay? And then you can put your your phone away when you get to the restaurant. But in the credits of the movies, I looked down at my phone and I said, Adam, I'm working right now. I should post about that. And I did. I posted that I was waiting for the credits in the movies, waiting for the teacher. Many, many times did I work getting a couple messages back while my teacher was coming into the room. Lunch breaks, we all said that. Energized sinking in. Hopefully you guys are already doing that now. Bathroom breaks. Jamie was the queen of leaving her jobs and going into the bathroom for 20 minutes to get her work in. We all know it, but nobody does it. I used to do that. I used to have my phone slid into my scrubs pocket, and I would go to the bathroom and I'd be like, while my doctor was, because if I was in a dentist room, obviously the dentist had to go between different rooms, and yeah, real quick, 5-10 minutes. I sure did that. I obviously can't speak for this. Jamie said when she's pumping or breastfeeding, that's when she's getting a power hour in. It is working very smart when you are multitasking. If your children are eating, checkout line, Alex said this, at the grocery store, so smart, guys. How many times do we sit there and we look at, especially Marshalls and Target, they get us every freaking time. The amount of money and time I've spent looking at a Marshalls checkout line is probably ridiculous, and I don't want to add that up. But guys, think about that. Those 5 to 10 minutes that you are spending this other time, you could be working your business sitting there. She also said pumping gas. Genius. How many times? 3 minutes. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but these are the things we did when we worked full time pushing this business. And then Sammy said cooling down from workout. Yep, do that every single day. When you're stretching and you're doing things that without your arms, I grab my phone, quick message. It sounds crazy, but you want to know how to get to the next level. You want to know what's frustrating. It's just being smarter with your time. Last minute tips here, and then I'll kind of close it out and I can give you guys any questions or whatever. But tell your coaches what your plan is. I used to do the weekly or monthly announcements from Beachbody, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I realized is I need to be more open with my team of what my schedule looks like. And so I created that cover photo, and so that they know what calls are coming this week and what is moving forward. I organized 2 to 3 coaching previews based on my upcoming schedule. So on that Sunday, I figure out if that's the week that one of those coaching previews is. Like I said, I'm running my coaching mentorships with other coaches, and the one that you see here is with Casey. And we created units so that if I have a coach that signs up and I'm super freaking swamped and I don't have a mentorship, I can put them, I know, in this group, and they can go through unit by unit. But most of the other time I have an ongoing one. Just in backup, I'm preparing. Another thing is tracking is not an option. If you haven't figured that out by this call, hopefully you have now. Find a system and stick with it. Whatever works. Maybe it's Google Sheets. Maybe it is Streak. Maybe it is a planner. Maybe it is sticky notes. I don't know, but find a system and hold on to it and stick with it. Because if you just do everything what other coaches are going to do, you're going to be overwhelmed. And if you are adopting a new system, my advice to you is if it's something that you have to import, don't import every contact you've ever had in your entire life, because you will only be stressed out and you'll waste new contacts. I watched a call Amanda hosted on Streak, and she did it, I think, in December or early January, and all I did was import December. I could have imported the last 3 years of clients. I personally am going to serve my time moving forward rather than dwelling on the past. So stick to it, move forward, and it's been game-changing. Again, if you are trying to be even more diligent with your time, listen to team calls to and from work, to and from school. Even if it's a 5-minute commute, guys, again, that's 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back, 10 minutes. You got 50 minutes of calls that you weren't already spending time. And I mean, Don't get me wrong, I love the radio too, and I love dancing to Justin Bieber, but that also doesn't, make me money. So cancel. Ooh, that was loud. Cancel your distraction. When my coach Alex was pushing full-time to Beachbody, she canceled her Netflix subscription. Flat out canceled it. And so maybe Netflix isn't your distraction. Maybe it's Insta stories. Maybe you know everything of what all your friends do on Instagram today, but yet you didn't do your reach outs. That's a problem. That's why you're not hitting Success Club. And don't get me wrong, I love my coaches. I love all of that, but use it as a treat for getting your stuff done and then moving forward. So figure out what your distraction is and use it sparingly. I'm not saying you have to cancel Netflix, but you should not be watching an hour of Netflix every day. And if you're like me and you try to do Netflix in the background, it only works with certain tasks. You should be very diligently working on reach outs and invites by yourself, and then you can do other stuff in the background with Netflix. Your workout is not your power hour. So many times I see people like, oh, got my workout in, blah, blah, blah. And it's great that people work out in the Miracle Morning. But if you're using that and then the 5 minutes extra for your power hour, it doesn't work that way. It is definitely part of your business, but it's not your power hour. And I mean that in the nicest way, guys. You can't just work out and expect people to flock to you. You got to put in the work, and you have to do it every day, and you have to be smart and plan for that time. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. I always go back to this is it takes 4 years to get a job. Some jobs, most jobs, we'll just call it most jobs, with your degree. And I don't understand why this is always feeling so different. We want it to happen now. And as much as I can relate to you and understand and, empathize with you, we can't skip class. You can't just skip forward and say, I worked 5 hours this Sunday. I'm good for the next 5 days. It just doesn't work that way. You can't, earn your degree in your first year. You got to go every year. You got to do the work. Does anyone have questions? Okay. I'm probably not going to go through all of these because that would just take forever. So questions, comments, concerns. Can you share the PowerPoint? Absolutely. What is your coach page name? Team Better For It. Can you share the 2 checklists? Yes. Let me write this down. My ADD is like, yeah, sure I can. And then I'm going to get off the call for you. Okay, so 2 trackers and then PowerPoint. My team page is Team Better For It. New reach outs take me a lot of time, even when I go to people I've already reached out to. Any tips? So I think in that sense, you probably haven't found your target audience, because when you do, and you go to their followers and stuff, it's going to be a lot easier for you to track. But until you get to that, I would test yourself. I would time yourself. I would give yourself, say, I'm going to do 5 reach outs. I'm going to time myself. And every day, try to knock off 5 seconds. You don't need to knock off a minute each time, but knock off 5 seconds so that you can kind of get in the habit of doing these quicker and more diligent. Obviously, it's not always going to work that way. You can't just always say, I'm going to do 3 reach outs in 3 minutes. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But if you find those 2 to 3 brands or bloggers that you relate to, that you're finding your people through, it should go quicker. Did you stop sweating? No, I'm definitely still sweating. Give me the trackers. Yes. Do you use scripts when reaching out to people? Yes and no. I'm not a huge fan of the like, hey girl, blah, 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 because I think you have to reach out to people how you would be reached out to. And whenever I get hey girl messages in my DM, I'm like, okay, that's just not how I talk to people. But I think there's still something to be said about working smarter, not harder. And I think when you find your genre of people, it's going to be easier to create a script. So for example, if I'm reaching out to people who are dairy-free, it's really easy for me to start a conversation. But if I were to take a dairy-free person, then a dog person, and then a Lululemon person, and all these different, I can't just make a generalized script. So when you start targeting, it's going to be a lot easier for you to say, hey, Sarah, I just came across your Instagram because I'm also dairy-free. How long have you been dairy-free, may I ask? Boom, super easy. It's going to be super flowy. It's not going to be really weird. And so I think you can use a script, but I think be smart about said script. When you're working on the fly, do you go back and track your reach outs, invites, etc. later? Do you write down their names? I bring this everywhere, to be honest with you. Some coaches will say to make sure that you are present at home. And so if I'm doing, I would say my reach outs are always at home when I am not busy in the world, but I can do invites on the fly and I can write those down pretty easily. So you got to figure out what system works for you. If you are somebody that can, track on the fly, great, we'll do that. But if you can't, make sure that if you are on the fly, you're doing the other stuff on your checklist and either coming back or making sure first that you get your reach outs and invites done. Because otherwise you're just going to do what I did and start watching all these old trainings, doing all the things that you love. Just commented on the reach out. What does a typical reach out look like compared to an invite? Reach out, starting a conversation. So like I just said, starting a conversation, being dairy free. Invite to me is always inviting to something pertaining to Beachbody. So whether it's a challenge group, a free group, a coaching preview, you are inviting them. So Sarah, I know that we've been talking about how busy work has been for you. Well, because of that, I'm actually putting together a free group based on, my eating plan in a busy schedule. And I thought you might be interested. Is that something you'd be interested in? Boom, invite. Voice memos and face videos. I use those all the time in my conversations. I actually have saved about 5 Insta stories going through a challenge pack. So I will show them Beachbody on Demand, scroll through it, and then I show them Shakeology, why I use it, show them the containers so that it's show and tell. And then I send those on the fly. Those are in my favorite section of my phone. And I just go through like that because, again, work smarter, not harder. Go back and ask yourself this question. Have I been asked this question from somebody else before? Because if it's more than twice, make a video. Do you track all of your reach outs in Streak? I do not track like that in Streak. I track the people once they've signed up or if they filled out my form. So I'm a little bit different in that sense. I know a lot of coaches do track reach outs in Streak. At this moment, I'm more paper or pen first. How do you tap into your target market other than looking at hashtags? So personally, what I would do, what I have done, I guess I can't say what I would have you do, is I look at bloggers and brands. Because when I looked at hashtags, I went back again, I looked at this businesses before I started Beachbody. What did I hashtag? The only thing I ever hashtagged was like hashtag blessed, and it was a sunset. I wasn't hashtagging like hashtag fitness inspiration, hashtag Dalmatian fam. Like I personally wasn't doing that. I had no idea. Not to say other people aren't, but because of that, I followed a lot of brands. I followed Nike Women. I followed Shaun T. I followed Lululemon. I followed all of these different things. And now I follow a lot of dairy-free bloggers that bake delicious things that make me always hungry. But those people aren't coaches. So I stopped running into this. All I'm finding is coaches. Well, use a different avenue if you're only finding coaches, because people who are following bloggers aren't always coaches. So that was why I switched, but that's entirely up to you. If you are using a great hashtag, freaking stick to that, and just, it's essentially the same thing. Where's your planner from? Erin Condren. Actually, Amy and I got the same planner the same day, and we didn't know. I saw her Insta story, and she literally got Happy, Healthy, Humble the exact same day. It was so funny. But I love this one. If you guys are looking for, oh, there she is. If you find her. Okay. Screenshot your reach outs while out. Yes, that's a great idea. Screenshot them, write them down so that you can put them in your planner if you don't have it. Is the 5-3-1 method recommended for reach outs or something else? I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think go for it. Try it. It obviously works for a ton of people, and I don't think you have anything to lose by trying it. Any last questions, guys? Are you finding bloggers on Instagram or through what platform? Yes, I do 99% of my business through Instagram. And so one of the things that I kind of noticed was before I started doing it, when I went to, I'm going to show you my Explore feed, all I saw was coaches. And so when I would go through it, it was just coach, 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 coach. And Adam kind of looked at me and he said, well, that's because all you do is like coaches' photos. It's like, oh. Okay, that's really smart. And so I started liking things outside of that. And so by scrolling through this, you can see what photos I like by saying, oh, so that's dairy free. Disney, Dumbo, Disney again, Harry Potter. This girl is like my spirit animal if and when I ever get pregnant because she's eating Chipotle while pregnant. I mean, the list goes on, guys. Like I have established my brand by doing this. And so at this point, if I had no idea, I could go on my Explore feed and find more bloggers. But go through the avenues of what you love, and you're going to find a blogger, and then go through who they follow, and you're going to find another blogger and another blogger. And yeah, again, it takes time for sure. Like you don't just open up Instagram and there's your perfect person. But use one of your power hours this week after you do reach outs and invites, and do it that way. And find one of your people. Yes, Carly said, if you guys are just following a whole bunch of coaches and watching other coaches' stories, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Go find new peeps. Yeah, because your whole Explore feed is just going to be a bunch of coaches. Healthy gluten-free desserts. Yes, Leanna, spirit animal. It's actually really great, too, because I can log in. I'm like, oh, I'm going to make those tonight. I just looked up a Chipotle hashtag, and you came up for like 3 to 4 posts. Oh, the guac is extra, and so am I. Okay, guys, I think that is everything. I will get this posted either tonight or tomorrow morning, and I will also post the other stuff that you guys asked for. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully even just one thing you can implement this week. I appreciate you. I will hope that you have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.